you think. Kalshi facilitates trade between people, kind of like the stock market. There's no limiting your trades just because you're winning. Kalshi will pay you interest on your position. So if you make a long-term trade, you can earn a return even before the market is resolved. If you want to try out Kalshi, go ahead and give them a try, guys, at my link, kalshi.com/setmedia. Get $20 when you trade 20, so it's 20 for 20, guys. Once again, that's kalshi.com/setmedia. Go ahead and use my code setmedia to get $20 when you trade 20. Let's go ahead and take a look here at Kalshi, because like I said, it is a trading market where you can put in your prediction and you can go ahead and earn interest on that. You can make money off the knowledge that you know, and if you put $20 in, you get $20 back. So all right, guys, make sure to go check out my guy Kalshi, because you can get in on good trades like who Trump nominated as Fed chair, will Ali Khamenei be outed as the supreme leader, and will the U.S. confirm that aliens exist before 2027? So if you want to get in on this action, once again, go ahead and go to my partners at Kalshi. Go ahead and use the link, or you can hit the QR code above and use Set Media to go ahead and get $20 when you trade 20. This is Set from Set Media, and shout out to Kalshi. Yo, and we are live. Yo, this is Set with Set Media, guys, and I'm back with another one for you. All right, guys, we're about to get right into the media analysis. We're going to go ahead and start off on Fox News, reporting on Iran's, new missile range capabilities. So let's get right into that. But then also, let's not forget to double tap that screen like the video, and let's go ahead and get right into it, guys.
So there's growing concern of Iran's ballistic missile range after the regime launched an attack targeting Diego Garcia, a key U.S. and U.K. military base in the Indian Ocean, nearly 2,500 miles from Iran. Now, Prime Minister Netanyahu is warning other countries they could be targeted next.
If you want proof that Iran endangers the entire world, the last 48 hours have given it. They have now the capacity to reach deep into Europe. They already have fired on a European country. Cyprus. They are putting everyone in their sights.
All right, we got Joey Jones at the touch string to break down Iran's ballistic missile capabilities. All right, Joey, walk us through the range of their missiles.
Yeah, so they've been building missiles for a while. Really what we're going to focus on today is what I call the K4, because I can't say the K word. It's very long. It's hard to say. But basically, the last missile that they told us about was in 2023, the K4. And we thought its range was about, I think it was right at 2,000 kilometers. So it's not very far. And they even went so far as to say that, listen, we're not trying to go very far because we don't want the world to feel threatened by us. So here's Iran, and you can start to see the miles, which kind of roughly translate. But right here is what I want you to focus on, 2,500 miles. That's this outer ring here, right inside of it, just about 2,000 miles. Right, this is Diego Garcia. That's double the distance that we thought they could fire. So this K4 missile being the furthest that we know about, we're going to go ahead and move to the next slide. This K4 missile being
So they pretty much exceeded our expectations with this K4 missile. And the problem with this K4 missile is that we believe this max range was about, what was it, about 2,000 to 2,500, kilometers. Kilometers or kilometers. But that's what we believed. Now, to our surprise, which is being reported, is that it actually went over that. It actually went about 3,000 or 4,000 out. And the problem with that is, we didn't know that. And that means that Iran's, capability to strike inside Europe is actually, be real with you, it's an actual possibility. We believe that all Iran could do is really strike out here in the Middle East, in this orange area. This is what we believed. And this is what we now see to be the outcome. But like I said, Iran is not really claiming that they shot it. They're not taking credit for it for some crazy reason. It would be in their best interest to take claim of it, but they're saying that they didn't do it. So we'll see what more comes out. But honestly, it's looking like Iran did it, and they're just not trying to show it.
range of their missiles?
Yeah, so they've been building missiles for a while. Really what we're going to focus on today is what I call the K4, because I can't say the K word. It's very long. It's hard to say. But basically, the last missile that they told us about was in 2023, the K4. And we thought its range was about, I think it was right at 2,000 kilometers. Yeah. So not very far. And they even went so far as to say that, listen, we're not trying to go very far because we don't want the world to feel threatened by us. So here's Iran, and you can start to see the miles, which kind of roughly translate. But right here is what I want you to focus on, 2,500 miles. That's this outer ring here, right inside of it, just about 2,000 miles. Right, this is Diego Garcia. That's double the distance that we thought they could fire. So this K4 missile being the furthest that.
Like I said, we thought that it was just this little orange circle right here. Otherwise, everybody else is safe. But if this is true and they're able to hit 4,000 kilometers, we got a problem. And here's the thing then, and that also means that, well, I guess Iran's been showing a decent restraint because they could have been hitting other military bases in the region a long time ago. And also what raises my suspicion as well is that, all right, well, then how come, then how are we moving out of their range when it comes to our ships? Like, well, you're telling us our ships are all the way over here, 4,000 kilometers away, shooting tomahawks that could only go like 2,000 kilometers. Like, well, come on now. So this is where I throw a little bit of suspicion into there. It's like, all right, so can Iran actually do this? But hey, we'll see.
We know about, we're going to go ahead and move to the next slide. This K4 missile being the furthest that we know about, just went twice as far, or we think this is the one they used.
Do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Let's get more people on the conversation by double tapping that screen and liking the video.
The big question here is we don't know what they used, and that's something we'll talk about in a second.
Well, interesting, Joey. The question really for me is, like, how do they actually launch them? How do they launch these things?
Yeah, so what's really cool, I've got a couple of pictures here that I want to show you. So they're zoomed in, so it's hard to see, but this is essentially a tractor and trailer. This is a truck with a trailer bed on it, with a missile on it. As you'll see, it's being raised. It's at about a 45-degree angle there. So what they do is this is mobile. So the word they use for it is called the Transporter Erector Launcher, the TEL. So this is what's really amazing. Well, this is what's really difficult about this. So basically, this trailer and that truck can drive out into the desert. You need another vehicle probably with some radar on it to get the coordinates right. But basically, it's mobile. It can be moved anywhere. The fuel used in the rocket is liquid. It's a little bit limiting on distance, but it's able to be stored and set somewhere for a long time. So this entire capability is about running around and being able to launch these from different places so that we can't just identify targets with intelligence and go after them. They can move. They can move in hours. They can move hundreds of miles and overnight. And so it makes it a little bit more difficult. Also, what this does is, this is very big, but there's a Russian version called the 3M54. The export version is called the Club K that can pretty much fit in a Connex box. So it can go in the back of a tractor and trailer. So if they're adapting that technology, or if they bought it from Russia, you have to assume every tractor and trailer in Iran is potentially.
I mean, here's the thing. That's like what, just 1,000 kilometers away from having an intercontinental ballistic missile. Right now, they have an intermediate ballistic missile, not an intercontinental, because what was it? I think that's like 5,000 kilometers. So yeah, they're about like, if this is true, they're about 1,000 kilometers away from an intercontinental ballistic missile, and that, yes, would be a problem. And also, like I said, if this is their capability, once again, I mean, why haven't they been well, easily able to strike our ships? And also, why haven't been able to attack our military bases, well, all the way out there in Europe, which we have been attacking from, if they had this capability? I'm just throwing a bit of suspicion on it, because it's a bit like weird. I'm not gonna lie.
An anti-ship missile or something like this.
Joey, you said that we weren't aware that Iran had the capability to launch a missile this far. So what kind of rocket was launched at the Diego Garcia base, and is it different than the ones that we knew that they had?
Yeah, so I'm not going to pick on you on nomenclature here, but basically this is a missile. What makes it a missile is that the back half is a rocket. A rocket is a propulsion system. You point it in a direction, that's where it goes. It's not guided. The rocket has fuel in it, just like the Gemini space rockets, And so what happens is, this actually goes suborbital. I didn't show you on the last screen as easily. There's a screen in a minute I'll show you. This goes hundreds of miles above the surface, not not into the atmosphere above the surface. So the higher you launch it from, theoretically, the higher it goes. It goes hundreds of miles above the surface. When it does, this part here breaks off, just like we see with space program. And this part here, this is called the reentry vehicle, which encompasses the warhead. There's other words for it. And what happens is when it goes exoatmospheric, gravity's not as big of a deal, this breaks off. And what we believe, because they're not just telling us, is that this warhead, this reentry vehicle, exoatmospheric, has thrusters on it that orient it towards its target, and then it lets gravity do its job, and it comes back down. So the reason why that's important is what we know about this specific rocket, or this specific missile, which is the best one that we know they have, the K4, is that this is liquid fuel, which limits them a little bit on distance, but allows them to store it. And it's a single stage, which means once this burns up, that's as far as it goes. What we're trying to find out now, or what probably—
Oh God, do me a favor and double tap that screen, like the video, guys. Let's go ahead and get those likes up. Let's get more people on the conversation. Appreciate the support.
Probably people other than me know is if they added a second stage in here to get it further, or if it's actually a completely different reentry vehicle that has some sort of exoatmospheric thrust in itself. We're not really sure.
Hey, and shout out to my man Cap for Life. He sent a thumbs up for 10 joules. Appreciate the support, my brother.
How they got so far because of what we know about its motor. They call that a rocket motor. So that's what we're trying to figure out. Another thing is that Israel is incredibly tight-lipped with their post-blast analysis, their threat analysis after the fact. So when they get hit with these missiles, they don't always share that information with anyone, to include us. Hopefully this landing near Diego Garcia, we are recovering that and we're getting that information. It's not that Israel's a bad partner, it's that that's how they're able to keep things covert, because as you can see, our own Pentagon didn't want to share things with other allies either. So that's just kind of part of it.
So Joe, you kind of already walked us through how the ballistic—
You know what's so funny about that? Like, yeah, it is kind of crazy how we didn't inform our allies how we were going to attack Iran and possibly, throw the whole entire world economy into turmoil. Like, I'll be real with you. Like, it's kind of funny how he said that. And then when Trump was asked about it in his bilateral meeting with the Japanese prime minister, bro, he was like, well, like, man, sometimes you got to surprise people. Like, Japan, come on, you know all about surprises, which was, a little bit, unnecessary, but it was funny. But yeah, that is kind of bad on us for not informing our allies what we were going to do to Iran, knowing damn well that they had the potential to close the Strait of Hormuz, which, people inside the Trump administration was saying, but we're not heard. Obviously, look where we're at.
Ballistic missile works, and we appreciate that because we hear all these things. And
hey, man, shout out to the love on Facebook. Appreciate that.
Civilians hear rocket, we hear missile, we hear all these different types, and sometimes it's hard for us to decipher which is which and what that means for us. I want to go back because you already explained kind of how it works. Can you go through the ballistic missile stages that you have on that screen there so that we can really conceptualize this? Yeah,
so I'm not able to draw on this screen, or I would add a little bit in here, but I want you to suspend your disbelief, use your imagination, because I'm going to teach you about how we intercept these. When they are launched, and that's what this is showing here, they actually go exoatmospheric, so they go— this shows 500 to 1,000 miles. It depends on the missile. The missile we're talking about, we thought was like 150 to 500. So if it goes that far up, what have they done? One thing they could have done was just lighten the weight of the warhead on it and gotten more altitude that way. We just don't know yet if they actually have a better missile or if they modified this missile to where it has less of a warhead on it but could go further. So once it gets exoatmospheric, then it breaks away. The rocket motor goes away. A couple other things happen that allows the reentry vehicle or the warhead, depending on what it is, to orient itself exoatmospheric. And I know I've said that a lot, but I don't know a better word, a little bit further away from gravity and air pressure. And then it starts its descent back down. At this point here, it's locked on to its target and it's coming back down. The reason why that is important is it's like artillery. You decide where it's going down here. It can adjust itself a little bit up here, but it can't completely change where it's going up here. When it starts reentry, here it is. What they're saying is that this reentry vehicle has broken down into a warhead at this stage. At that point, that's when our THAAD system uses radar, generally where we think we're going to get hit, and that might be the first time we know that that missile is headed towards us. So it's this part here, when it's reaching Mach 8. It's already 8 to 16, so it's supersonic. And that's how much time we have to lock onto it with the radar and send THAAD towards it. And basically what it's doing is the computer is calculating, well, if it's here now and it's moving that fast, it'll be there in a few seconds. So we may be intercepting it way down here. Look at that big arc. And this is hundreds of miles high. and thousands of miles wide. And in all of this arc, it's this section down here most of the time where we're finding it and intercepting it. One thing I know is that some of our THAAD radars have been hit. You take those radars out, now you've got a hole in your dome, in your gold, whatever you want to call it. And so the reason why that's important is some of these are guided in ways that one day we talk about hypersonic guided missiles. This point and shoot method may not work. So this is the evolution of defense. So when President Trump says he wants to raise all this money to put a golden dome over the United States, it's advanced technology from what we're doing now with the THAAD, something other than radar. If these things get the ability to change their target, change elevation and descent, become basically an unmanned aircraft on their way down, the ability to intercept them or take them out just gets so much more difficult. So the advancement of their missiles, that's a big deal. And when President Trump says, hey, they're advancing their missile program, he doesn't just...
Well, let's be real on this is what makes Trump's threat, which is, I'm gonna be real with you, today is the end of that threat. He said it on the 21st. They had 48 hours to open the Strait of Hormuz, and the Strait of Hormuz sadly has not been open. So yeah, it's game time. Let's see what happens. But yes, the Strait of Hormuz has still been closed. We'll see if Trump actually goes for their energy infrastructure. But if that's the case, then, well, apparently, excuse me, Iran has the capability to attack more than just the energy infrastructure in the Middle East, but possibly also in Europe as well.
Mean they can point and shoot further. He means what?
I mean, shoot, they can start firing into Ukraine and helping Putin according to the map.
What they're able to do once it's launched that makes it harder for us.
Oh, guys, man, I got about 30 of y'all in the vertical, man. Do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video, guys. Appreciate the support. I know I got about 10 of y'all on X. Appreciate you guys. Let's keep it going.
To defeat it, that is a big
double tap that screen and like that video.
Deal. So I'm going to wrap it up this way. It's not as big of a deal that it went so far. It's how did it go so far and what happened along the way that we need to study and find out. If they actually have missiles that we're not aware of, or that we don't know we're aware of, that only our IC knew about, maybe even a certain section of it, our intel community, then there might be a lot more justification for this war than we know or will know for a while.
Joey, thank you as always for breaking that down for us. I'm going to bring it back to the table as you make your way back over here. All right, Jason, that was obviously excellent for us to get that knowledge from Joey and break all this down, because we hear all these terms and these weapons and a lot of us don't really know what that all means, what it means to us and what it means to our allies. But, I think that this also makes the discussion right now that we're having with Democrats and between all of us of whether it was an imminent threat, whether Iran was actually a threat, or whether this was,
Now, here's the thing about this whole imminent threat. Like, it kind of seems that the definition of an imminent threat is anybody who will retaliate if we attack them. And I mean, if that's the case, I mean, anybody's an imminent threat. I mean, bruh. It's kind of wild. It's kind of wild how we're saying, well, they're an imminent threat because they're shutting down the Strait of Hormuz and all this good stuff. And I'm just like, yeah, but if you attack any country, they're going to become an imminent threat. I mean, that's just like a no shit. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. I honestly think that's just like a no shit type of analysis right there. Like, if I'm looking at it and I understand what could happen here, yeah, it's a no shit analysis.
Of choice, as Democrats keep repeating over and over and over again. But to Joey's point, as he expertly laid out over at the touchscreen there.
So, AKA, we can't just be out here saying that, well, if we just because we attacked Iran and they're attacking back, that proves that they was an imminent threat. I'm like, no, it doesn't. That just proves that, yeah, if you attack a country, they're going to become an imminent threat.
It would seem as though maybe they had more capabilities than we knew, or maybe than many wanted to believe.
Yeah, these armchair politicians don't see the most classified intelligence. They do that to keep it as safe as possible. Three things come to mind. Number one, there was a clear and present danger. There clearly was. The president does this reluctantly. He is the president of peace. This is what he wants. It's peace through strength. And it's making sure that we hit them before they hit us. Number two, thank goodness that Donald Trump had the foresight.
But then you can't call them an imminent threat. It's like making sure that we hit them before there was no proof that they was going to hit us. We didn't have proof that they was making a nuclear bomb. So it's just like, what? So like I said, they're basically saying, yeah, basically if you hit us back, you're an imminent threat. I mean, that makes no sense, because then anybody could be an imminent threat. I mean, what? You're basically saying that, okay, well, Ukraine was an imminent threat to Russia, But said Russia invaded Ukraine. Yeah, I know, but because they hit back, that they became an imminent threat to Russia. So everything's all good now. You see how that'll make no damn sense when you kind of, change the names?
To actually implement the Space Force. There is a war that is going on in space. We don't see it. Nobody's taking selfies with their Apple phones. The Space Force is vital to what we're doing into the future. And if you don't understand fully what's going on with the Chinese, the Russians, the Israelis, and others, then you are blind to what is really going on in the world. And the last thing is, we have some amazing technology that was put in place previously. For instance, the middle of Romania, we have what's called Aegis Ashore. This is literally a Navy ship they put right smack dab in the middle, foreshadowing the idea that, you know what, the Iranians.
Oh, man, we got like 7 of y'all in the horizontal, man. Do me a favor and like the video. I'm talking to you guys in the horizontal chat. Yes, go ahead and like that video for me.
May want to try to hit somebody in Europe. And we have this type of technology on the ground to help defend Europe and American assets.
So all that to say, there's a lot more that goes on.
Yes.
Kaylee, I was thinking the other day when I was filling up gas, boy, I hope this is over soon, right? And I texted my parents, ouch, gas, it's hurting a little bit. And my parents responded, but nuclear, threat from Iran is probably more expensive in the long run. And, it's important to conceptualize that because as Joey laid out and as Jason emphasized there, the capabilities that they have or that they could create, that is an imminent threat to us, to our allies. And, as we're talking about this,
if we attack them, that's the problem here. That's the logic that they're missing. Yeah, if we attack them, they are good. They're going to become an imminent threat. So yes, if we attack their energy infrastructure, they will come an imminent threat to the energy infrastructure in the region. Like, yeah, no shit.
From President Trump, 48 hours, that's ticking on down. We don't know how long he'll actually give them. But then you've got Iran basically saying, well, we're going to FAFO.
Right. And we know that, President Trump does have a political incentive to wrap this up quickly. But he also has a national security priority to get it done, especially as Joey laid out, that they could very well have more than we are even aware of that could be capable of really disastrous work in Europe and even closer to the eastern seaboard. And I think that calculates into President Trump's decision here to hit Iran's power plants, to go after their electrical grid. And it's interesting. I've already seen this from some Democrats and some on the left who are complaining about how this would be an escalation and a violation of international law.
Yes, it would be, bro. Yes, this could possibly be a violation of international law because going after energy infrastructure, well, and be real with you, this is going to be the debate. Now, did bombing their energy infrastructure give us a military advantage, or did it cause more civilian harm? And this is what they're going to grade it on. All right, so did we get more of a military advantage more than it actually hurt civilians? And if not, if it actually hurt more civilians than we even got a military advantage out of, then I'm gonna be honest with you, yes, this is going to be seen as a war crime. And I'm not calling it a war crime, but I'm just telling y'all the arguments here. Because, attacking that energy infrastructure is not just going to hurt the regime. It's going to hurt, well, almost everybody in Iran. And if then Iran's going to make it hurt everybody in the Middle East and the world. So let's see where things go. I mean, I personally don't want Trump to follow through with his 48-hour threat. But if he doesn't, I mean, bruh, they're going to call him Taco Trump. They're going to make fun of him. They're going to make him feel like they're going to make him feel like he's a bitch. And well, we know just Trump ain't doing that. So let's be real. Let's just expect the strike. Let's just expect it because, well, we kind of know how Trump acting at this point.
To be clear, an international law that allows Iran to shoot missiles at citizens at their neighboring countries but prevents us from doing anything to stop that is not an international law that...
Oh, God, do me a favor. I got like 20 of y'all in the vertical. Go ahead and double tap that screen and like the video, man. Appreciate the support. And you guys on the horizontal, go ahead and like the video. Just go ahead and press that button.
It exists to preserve global safety. That is an international law that exists to cripple the good actors in this world. And what you're seeing now from President Trump is an American force that is unrestrained by that. For a very long time, and I'm sure that Joey can confirm this, we have been operating with one arm tied behind our back. President Trump is not going to allow that to happen anymore. So I do think you are going to see this expedited. You're going to see it wrap up quickly because he is releasing the American forces from that obligation.
You know, Joey, we've heard President Trump say that, you know, this is winding down, and he said everything's pretty much been decimated. They don't really have a leader, and he's gone through all the success up until this point. But now we're talking about these missiles, and we're talking about maybe some capabilities that are a little more extensive than most of us knew of. Do you think that, given that, this is winding down, or what do you think it's going to take to end it?
I don't know. I find it interesting that the administration put out a list. Axios reported a list of concessions they're looking for. I don't know if that's posturing for diplomacy so that Europe understands, hey, we're looking in that direction. I think that there is a chance there are a lot more capabilities still in that country than we know about or can confirm or can locate. And I think that if we're this far along and we're getting that intelligence, we're figuring that out, there are still high value targets, I say keep bombing them.
Damn.
Real quickly, is this something we can all do from the air, or is a ground force needed to finish it?
This is what I'll tell you. I'm not going to pretend to be something I'm not. I'm not a general. I didn't go to the war college. I read The Bearman Over the Mountain. I read The Other Side of the Mountain. The Soviets spent a lot of money trying to take Afghanistan with airplanes and bombs, and those airplanes got brought down by relatively cheap, Sidewinder, shoulder-fired missiles or shoulder-fired rockets that we gave them. And so that eventually the Soviets had to give up because it cost them so much money. So right before that, they put in the tanks, but they weren't willing to send dead bodies home to mom and dad. So they didn't get out of the tanks. And without any sort of presence, they were never going to take Afghanistan. As long as we understand we're not trying to or able to,